Hi guys, so what have I got here now? So Donald Trump apparently had this really racist New York City rally over the weekend, and everyone's saying that it was political suicide, um, where basically he and his proxies said some not very nice things about Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans, and by association Hispanic people, because apparently one of his proxies said that, Puerto Rico is this really, I mean, just to paraphrase him, it is like a place where it's not even worth the human effort. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a place where the people there are, I mean, I don't know the exact quote, but it was very insulting to Puerto Ricans and to Hispanic people, enough so that all of the celebrities who are of Puerto Rican lineage, such as Jennifer Lopez and Bad Bunny, and I think Ricky Martin, all came out on their social media to endorse Kamala Harris and denounce what these people said. So people are saying that it was political suicide to do what Trump did and for his operatives and proxies to do. Um, what do I think about that? Well, it was in New York. It wasn't in one of the swing states. Trump is not going to win New York anyway, at least not usually. I don't think Republicans usually win New York. So he's not going to win New York, and I don't think he expects to. Um, it says here the interminable rally concluded by an interminable, disjointed, incoherent, and yet clearly vile speech by the former president might have been tutored by Trump's son Don Jr., one of his warm up acts as King of New York returning to claim his crown. But Trump was never the King of New York. Sorry, Lara, your father in law did not build New York. Immigrants did, but we'll get to that in a minute. So Trump has always been loathed in New York City, especially in his former home borough of Manhattan, where the vote against him was and will be dependably over 80%. But if he was hated before, rest assured he will be more despised after tonight. And that was clear early on when Tony Hinchcliffe, a man invited by Trump to give one of the introductory speeches, who in true MAGA fashion alleged without providing a shred of evidence that he was a comedian, offered a KKK buffet of nauseating slurs. He called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Okay, so that's the quote, a floating island of garbage. I'm saying to myself, this man is not stupid. I mean, why would he say something like that? It's almost like, I mean, I don't even want to say it because I don't want to sound like I'm making any excuses for him. So I'm not going to say it. There's a lot going on. I don't know if you know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Who says stuff like that? It's like a joke, right? Um, he says here the joke was as stupid as it was repulsive because there are almost 600,000 people Puerto Ricans in New York City. Okay, New York, Trump is not going to win New York. The question is whether Hispanics around the country, including Puerto Ricans, especially in the swing states, because look, it doesn't matter what Trump says, his base is going to vote for him no matter what, right? We have the independents and some Democrats who are going to be against Kamala Harris, and then we have black men who apparently are also against Kamala Harris for some reason, and they have said they're not voting for, not all black men, but a significant percentage. I always wondered how did slavery occur? I think, you know what I think? I think men have been ruling the world for a long time, perhaps since the beginning of time. Men have been in charge. And I think where men go, a society goes, a country goes, even a race goes. And so, how did slavery happen? I think it happened because you had intruders come into a continent, and the men there allowed it to happen one way or another, whether they participated by deciding who gets sold off and who doesn't, or they didn't fight back, or whatever the situation is. Now, I know this is going to not go down well for a lot of people, but I think where men go, a country goes, a nation goes, a continent goes, a whole society goes, and even frankly, the planet, they rule. Men rule, they're in charge. So now you tell me that black men are voting for Trump, and I'm like, okay, that's how slavery happened, right? That's how it happened. This is the start. This is the start of the new slavery. You mark my words. Now, that all being said, I don't even remember what the hell I was talking about here, but it seems that so Trump is not going to win New York anyway. So he said some vile stuff about Hispanics. He's been saying vile stuff forever. His base is going to continue to vote for him, and we have the independents, some of whom may go to Harris. Look, I don't care. I don't believe these people. Talk to me on November the 6th, the day after the election, when I see what they do when they put their vote where their mouth is, right? And they're cheering, whatever. Now, that all said, Kamala Harris had one of the biggest rallies, if not the biggest rallies, of her campaign over the weekend. Where was it? Good question. Could have been in Texas or something like that. And it's a good sign. It's a good sign that at least the people where she was will vote for her, right? Again, talk to me on November the 6th. Um, at the same time, I've heard that in the polls, in the swing states, Trump is up in all these states. Now, okay, we don't have to trust the polls. We don't have to trust the polls. I don't trust polls. I don't trust rallies. I don't trust anything but what happens on November the 6th, right? But I will say that all of the experts are saying that Trump's rally in New York was so vile that it was political suicide. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. Because when you tell me that black men are voting for Trump, I'm like, okay, this is over. Because in the Democratic Party, and correct me if I'm wrong, they need the solid black vote to win. Black men, black women, right? So you've split that in half, and you're telling me that black men are voting for Trump, right? Then you ask me how slavery happened. This is the beginning of the new slavery. Trump invoked the enemy law or something like that, a law from the 18th century America that he says he's going to reinstall on day one when he gets into office. You think he can't reinstall slavery in America? You think he wouldn't? And I mean, I say that with all due respect because you know what? Trump is a fascinating man. He fascinates me. I'm fascinated by this man. How does this man do what this man does? I understand his base. I do, right? I don't agree with them, but I understand it. He is fascinating. And when you become fascinated by someone, it's very difficult to become unfascinated by them, right? And so there's that. But the idea that you're going to tell me that black men are voting for Trump, black men, I said, are voting for Trump. I mean, this is how slavery happened. And yes, he can. And there will be people who will agree with him. Most Americans hopefully would not, but not all. And you only need to start with a small number, and a small number can control and rule a bigger number than they. Okay, keep that in mind, you guys. But listen, look, I am not like freaking out about this vile speech. I don't think that this means anything for his campaign. I think his base is just his base. They're going to vote for him no matter what he says. I mean, these people are desperately trying to come up with something that will stop this man's momentum. And, the way you stop that was before we got to this point, right? Before we got to this point. If Kamala doesn't win this, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't need, whatever happened to Vance? I haven't heard a word about Trump's VP Vance in like weeks. Is he alive? Am I just out of the loop? What is going on here? Is he still campaigning with Trump? But anyway, so there's this new thing where, what is it they're saying now? Something about Trump's campaign managers who, wait a minute, where is it? It says here that Trump campaign worker blows whistle on grift and bugging plot. I mean, again, it's all kinds of last minute craziness that we're going to be seeing for the next couple of weeks. And all of it is noise. I don't think it's going to boil down to much, but let's wait and see. As I said, I am not optimistic. I'm still not optimistic. I'm still not optimistic. But I'm going to hope that I'm wrong. I'm going to hope that I'm wrong. I'm going to hope that I'm just too pessimistic for my own good and that all my fears were for nothing and that Kamala Harris will win because I think if she does not win, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to be in a lot of trouble. And because Trump is a guy, he has to win by any means necessary, and he gets revenge. And I think that if he wins, the whole America as we know it will cease in the sense that everything's going to change, even the Constitution. They're going to take that apart because once they get that power, he's not going to relinquish it until he dies. So they're going to have to change the Constitution, and the courts and everybody will go along with him because he's a powerful man. He's a man who can um, make you do what he wants you to do. He can make you do what he wants you to do. And I don't understand it necessarily. How does he do it? Right? But he can do it. Europe, listen, I mean, Europe, I was just, out getting something at the grocery store. I mean, all of the papers that pertain to politics all Trump. There's not one with Kamala Harris on the cover. They fully expect Trump to win. And on some level, I think they prefer Trump to Kamala's win in the sense that they prefer to deal with someone like Trump than someone like Kamala. I mean, look, in France, I don't think there's ever been a female president. And that's not by accident, right? These countries are also, like America, very, very macho, paternalistic, male centric, right? They prefer male leaders. Okay, England had a few female prime ministers. That's true. That is true. But, and other places in Europe. But for the most part, all of the papers here are very much um, Trump, 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 right? So I don't think what he said in New York will mean anything, but let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. I mean, we have 2 more weeks to go. I've been wrong before. I better be wrong this time. I better be wrong, you guys. I better be wrong. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye.